Okay, guinea pig project van. Step 1, tearing apart the front end. Okay, I have it parked in here like this. It's all the way back to the door, and it's pretty much all the way over to the wall. And the reason for that is because I want to do the front, kind of get the front, the rust around here, rust on that side. That side's the worst side, so I do that first. The back end is even worse, like under the rear doors, but I figure by then I'll have so much of it done that I'll be forced to deal with it and finish it anyway. No giving up. This is one of those cases where future me is not going to be happy, but screw him. So to begin, I got to get this grill off. I got this stupid thing on here. This has been on here my whole life, actually. There. This thing is so sun-faded and torn anyway. And it's attached with bungee cords. What? Those held for 30 years? A little too well. They're still holding. What do you do with parts you're not sure if you want to save? Actually, I'm quite certain I don't want to save this. Would be a good pattern, though. Shut up. Move on. Yeah, I got all these extra lights. Not entirely sure I know what to do with them. So the story with these, geez, I think it was in high school still, this didn't have the very best lighting. You know, old cars, the lights aren't very bright. So I went to AutoZone, and they had these rectangular driving lights. They look like this. Anyways, I quickly realized that they fit perfectly in this grill with the rectangular slots in the grill. So I bought one, and we tried them out, and they're not bad. Could use a little more light. So I went and bought 3 more pairs of them, and then wired them into relays. Each bank has a huge relay, and it's triggered to come on when the bright lights come on. So we got low beams when they're low. When I got high beams, I got 8 more beams. Each one is a 55 watt bulb. Not very bright, but when you got 8 of them, that does tend to help. And oh boy, does it drain the battery. And oh boy, are these rusty. Yeah, probably not going to reuse these again. And I'm just noticing now, don't tell anyone, but I installed them upside down. Whoops. Now I remember, that's what these zip ties are about. That hides the wiring. Tool wall. Oh man, my tool wall. It's this wall right behind me. All the tools are within reach. How's that for foresight? Let's see, yeah, there we go. Big heavy gauge wiring. See, this is a unique project car experience, I believe, because this is an old vehicle, but I was around for the whole history, which means all the wacky, insane, stupid stuff that someone did to this over the years, that was me doing it, and I might even remember some of it. Oh man, these lights, these are rustier than the whole rest of the van. Seriously, I crawled underneath to have a look at the frame. The frame is really not rusty at all. I was quite shocked. This is Wisconsin. I was expecting Swiss cheese. Of course the ground screw is rusted in. Why wouldn't it be? There's no way I'm reusing this ancient wiring anyway. Made it once, can make it again. Whoops. Fortunately for me, I was there when all this was put in. I must admit I got some help from my dad, and his general approach is, yeah, sure, driving lights, how about 10? Because I mean, he's spending his time to add extra lighting. He's not going to add a little extra lighting. It was also his idea to replace the wiring going to these lights, so that's why everything's done in like 10 gauge wiring for driving lights. This thing has a discharge meter on the dash, and when you turn these lights on, it pegs the meter. That's how much power it's drawing. The fan goes from like whoosh to click because there's so much draw. Alright, lights out. Can probably throw this in the garbage. So when I was younger and dumber, I wanted to take all the 55 watt bulbs out of those driving lights and put in 100 watt bulbs. But there was some slight worry about this plastic grill melting down. Also, the alternator was already overtaxed. I didn't want to stage a coup and burst into flames. Hey! Here's something interesting. Not a lot of rust up here. Also interesting, that bulb is orange. This bulb is clear. Also some rust up here. But seriously, I was expecting like holes. Random fact, this is a transmission oil cooler used back in the towing days. It has since sprung a leak and sprayed transmission fluid all over everything underneath. On a quiet night, you can still hear it dripping out sometimes. This is more problematic. Finger won't go through it though. Well, it's rusty, but it's not full of holes. Rush decision, this has to come off. Hood is just too much of a shade. This is that stupid little light that always drains my battery if I leave the hood up. I should probably just remove the battery. I'm removing everything. Remove the whole van while I'm at it, eh? I think there's like a tilt switch in here or something, but it's also grounded through the screw, so reefing it off of that stops this from working. Cool, huh? Boom, there we go. Boy, this is heavy. Much more light. Look at that. And if I lean over like this, I don't whack my head on the hood. Brilliant. So here's the underside of the hood. It's built a lot like a door. There's a frame and there's a skin. Here you can see where I'm talking about. The skin folds over the frame, and that creates kind of a gap where crap can form, like all this rust and jazz here. When I was in high school or something, I tried patching this with Rust-Oleum very poorly, and I did not remove all the rust, so the rust came back. Now it's all the way through, although I suspect it was all the way through to begin with. So this is probably going to be the very first thing I attempt to patch, if only because hoods are cheap. The other corner of the hood's pretty fine. No rust there, just the one spot. Hey! Continuing on with the general trend, not a lot of rust. Pretty surprised about that. You know, solid. The edges are solid, except the bottom edge. This was in the wheel well. This is not solid. This looks very unhappy. Let me just... Okay, maybe it's decently solid, but it's definitely rusty. Look at that. That's not good. Shouldn't be able to do that. Speaking of this inner fender well, it looks like I had a rodent in here at some point, and not a lot of rust visible. This is pretty solid. I don't know what the deal is, but good job Ford in 1987. Not such a good job 10 years later when all those Explorers and Windstars were rusting apart. Ooh, look at this, a flap. I wonder what's in... Oh, that's horrible. Oh, we're going to cover that back up. That's gross. And since I now have a lot of fasteners, I want to take this time to mention I'm bagging them. Grill, these are all the fasteners that held the grill on, all the fasteners that held the hood on, and so on. I literally have hundreds of these bags. I need to get some more of different sizes, probably bigger ones to hold some brackets and stuff. I can take this one that says grill and tape this to the grill so they're all together. Or I can store all of the fasteners in one location. If you're wondering about the random wardrobe changes, it's because I record this in bits over many days, and I do not care about continuity. So, yeah, you forget about that. Here I'm removing a bunch of junk off the front. Wasn't very exciting, so I didn't talk. The inside of the bumper has got more surface rust, but none of that's flaky. You know, that's not flaky at all. That's just surface. Underneath it, also, surprisingly not... Oh no, what's that? I have a feeling I know how this is going to pan out. Screwdriver test. Ah! Hole! What about this? There's some more. That looks like it's ready. Yep. Okay, maybe not there. Okay, maybe not there either. See that? That whole thing is moving. That's all rotten. This is bent in more than it should be. Turns out in Wisconsin, snowbanks can be much more ice than snow, and you can slide into them while parking, while driving too fast, and bend things. That's what happened here. I know it doesn't look like much, but trust me, it's bent compared to the other side. And check this out. Most of this thing's frame is open C-channel, but this front here, the front is kind of more square. But there's not really rotten there. Surface rust still, but no flaking, no holes. Pretty dirty and some cobwebs. Gonna have to evict them, but frame is solid. Another benefit of doing a van. When you take off huge parts, where are you gonna keep them? Inside the van. I have no idea what this bracket's for. No clue. Just 2 half-inch bolts. Whoops, that's gone forever. No, it's not. 2 half-inch bolts, this bracket, this hole goes over this. Like, why? This should probably come out too. You know what really throws me off? This half-inch, smooth. 7/16 inch, there's a ridge. In my work toolbox, 7/16 is smooth, ridge is the 3/8. That has been bugging me. Seriously, this wiring? It's crazy. But I love the black, green, red, and the yellow connectors here. Makes it look like a Fiesta. And not the Ford Fiesta, the good kind of Fiesta. For this fun and parties. Get this out of the way. This is junk anyway. You know, running car batteries totally flat, it's not good for them. You do that 3 or 4 dozen times, and they don't hold the charge anymore. Fun, this. To Does not look that rusty, just some surface rust. But this, there are a bunch of these connectors with the electrical system where things snap together, and this is one of the snaps. It goes over a snap in place, and you lift it to release the snap. Well, every single one that I've undone for the last like 10 years, it breaks. They always break. I think they're brittle. Something about 30 years of age and use. You know, they're not good anymore. So something tells me a lot of the wiring is going to have to be redone in this thing. I do not see how the battery tray bolts in. A cursory feeling around tells me that it's welded in. I do plan on moving the battery because in a van, this kind of hood open space is precious. It's a very tiny hood. Well, more grinding in my future. Speaking of junk in the way, air box. Air comes in down here next to the headlight under the battery tray, goes down 90 degrees up, 90 degrees to the right, into this air box, into two hoses which wrap around, go all the way back over, and into the two throttle bodies. That is a nightmare. However, you have to partially disassemble this, and I'll show you how. You take this piece here, this 90 degree, it goes into a hose and into the box, grab firmly with two hands, and then you have that part out. See? And back here, this is where you check the transmission fluid. Ford engineering. That, my friends, is the engine. Sort of. There's the twin throttle body thing. And if you're wondering, no, that is definitely not a Mountain Dew cap. Pretty sure it's Fanta, but it's been a few years. I can't remember. And this thing... Yeah, electric screwdrivers. What about it? Man, that's on there. I know these weren't stuck on there. I know because I took them off once in college and cleaned them out in like the dorm bathtub in the bathroom that no one used. Never got any weird looks. These drills, by the way, I prefer these. These flexi ones, you can fit them into places over the big pistol grip power ones because those will wreck things. This doesn't have enough power to strip anything. And unlike that crappy little one I have over there, that like fixed pistol grip one, this does have enough power to actually remove a fastener, which is nice in a screwdriver. Also, we use these at work, and we just beat the crap out of them. You get about 6 months to a year out of one, which isn't too bad. And the battery holds a charge for like 2 days. The gears sure strip, though. That's a bad sound. Oh, another clamp. Hidden in plain sight. There we go. PCV hose, I think. Don't know for certain, that's what it looks like it does. More clamps. Clampy clamp clamp. Off. Actually, now that I remember it, I had these hoses off because the throttle body was sticking. Look at that. I don't want to put that back on. When I was in college, it hasn't stuck since, but I had to clean it. And the thing was, I would start it, and then I'd hit the gas, and it would be stuck, and I'd kick it, and it would break free, and then I could drive around. Well, one time, I kicked it, and it stuck down. And then I kicked it harder to the floor to try to break it free, and it stuck to the floor. So that was exciting. Anyway, I got it cleaned, and it hasn't stuck since. Check it out. How dirty is all of that? Yeah, there's been some ignition upgrades along the way. And some others some of which haven't rusted off yet. People say vans don't have a lot of space, but look, the top of the engine block is down here. There's like 2 feet above it before this. They just filled it with this and then filled all this with intake. Jeez, just because you have the space doesn't mean you have to fill it, people.
Voiceover time. So let me know in the comments how you kind of want these videos to progress. I've just been sort of doing things bit by bit, and I'm sticking them all together in the video. But if you have another idea, that would be great. Boom. Otherwise, this is just going to be a many, many long part series of chronological order disassembling and repairing things. And if that's what you want, great, I'll do that. I got some help from the lovely wife. Always good to have a partner in this kind of situation.
Yep, I'm going to do this.
In hindsight, probably should have lowered it back off the jack stands. Wouldn't have to pick the radiator up over our heads.
Is that the fan?
Ta-da! Engine's open. I could climb in here now if I wanted. But I wouldn't. I'd be stuck. It'd be easier if it wasn't jacked up in the air a foot. The next thing is to look in all of these areas that I've exposed and check for rust. Because the idea is I want to do all the body work in the front first, then work, front in here, then work my way around the side and then back and then the other side, and then get the engine out. So look around. I'm seeing mostly solid. That's all solid, solid. This is plastic, solid back there.
So it doesn't look so bad then.
No, it looks really good, actually. It's also covered in motor oil, which is probably why it's not rusty.
Huh.
Huh. These bolts, they're supposed to be just loose, right? So I lost the cap that goes here, and it went ting, ting, ting somewhere. And now that I'm digging out all this crap, maybe I can find it. Maybe it was stuck somewhere for the last many years.
Well, what if it fell out?
Well, then it's gone
were
forever, and the
driving.
Fanta cap is going to keep doing its job.
Well, at least it fits and it's working, right?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I don't see a bunch of crap running down on the alternator, so, ooh, that's pretty gross.
Ugh.
And that's going back on. We're going to forget about that. Wait, what's this?
Da, da, da.
What's this? Oh, that's probably it. I removed and original equipment back in place.
Yay! Yay!
So thank you, Fanta Cap. Now get lost. When I first met you, this van was 20 years old. Can you believe that?
I think this van is actually like a year older than me.
You know, I can probably worry about the engine bay for later when I get the engine out, because I don't see any rust back there. It's mostly in the fenders. That is a weird fan blade. 5 blades unevenly spaced. It looks like a little man. Hello, little man. I will throw you away soon. Electric fans are better.